Hello and goodbye, December in 2017. Belated Merry Christmas, Happy New Year when this is coming out. I got a lot to talk about. It's been a crazy year. Cliff notes. The Goemon video is not done. I'm gonna have it done in January. However, I do have 2 episodes of Let's Get Podcast to show for this month. Just recorded them both at the same time. It's kind of a full episode, you know, like a 3-hour-ish episode, and then a little mini episode that you'll see. So you may remember Rick V sent me some mail where he said, you know, there's like the show, I like the podcast, your hair is okay. Well, we had him on the podcast and his buddy Matt, aka Angry Links, who does some crazy speed runs. He currently holds the fastest run in Contra. So we didn't talk a whole lot about speed running, but what we did talk about was Wizards and Warriors. So if you remember Wizards and Warriors, the series, NES and Game Boy, we talked about that for the primary podcast. And then for the special episode, it was an anniversary episode, is the 30th year anniversary of Karnov. So we did a mini episode for that. So check those out in the links below. Speaking of Mr. Rick V, he sent me this postcard, which I just got today. I'm actually recording this 3 days before Christmas, hence the hat. And yet again, he says, "Hi, enjoy this postcard. Do something with that hair." Well, I did. I obviously need a new haircut. You can see got some crazy sideburns going. Gonna get that cut. I've got a reason to do that in the next week. Talk about that later. He also says, "Have you ever noticed what a jerk Santa is in Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer?" I mean, it kind of sounds like Mario and Yoshi kind of thing going on there. I understand. So those 2 episodes of the podcast didn't get the Goemon video done despite my best efforts, and I really did try really hard this month. I spent all my free time working on it. I have the script done, but it's gone through a couple different iterations. I wasn't sure exactly how I wanted to tackle it. There's got to be a balance of some kind of comedy and entertainment, also with some kind of serious, like, let's look at this game as far as like a review. And it's my favorite game ever, so I want to say what I want to say about it, but I also want to be entertaining. So there's kind of a balance, you know. The first one I did was kind of wacky, and I'm like, maybe I'll go for slightly more serious tone, somewhere in between. So that's kind of what I'm going for now. I've still been capturing some video game footage from the game and other games, so I really should be able to wrap it up in January, I'm thinking. Apologies for failing to get the Goemon video done, but speaking of failing, I also took the JLPT N3 this month, and very beginning of this month, and I don't think I did very well. It was one of those kinds of things. It was like those nightmares that you had in school where you get the test and you're like, did I even study the right stuff? That's exactly how I felt. I'm looking, I'm like, oh, first kanji, I'm not even sure what that is. So there was a lot of guessing, and then after the fact, I'm like, I know this one, but then there's this slight variation on it. I'm gonna go with this one. But I didn't go with my gut on some of them. I erased some of my answers, which they say not to do. Sometimes those can be correct, you never know. And then after the fact, I looked up some of the things that I remembered from the test. I'm like, nope, I should have gone with my instinct. I got that wrong. So I'm not sure if I'll pass it or not, but I won't know till February because that's how the JLPT and anything goes. So we'll see. Fingers crossed. Not looking forward to the results. Honestly, if I pass it, I still probably won't be happy with it because I know that I really didn't master the material that I went over, and I probably should have. So I'm going to restudy that in any case, probably give myself a little break because obviously I got to get some Goemon video done. Some Goemon video done, the Goemon video done. So vlog stuff, this month was freaking awesome. I mentioned last month that I was going to go see the Day for Night after party. Decided not to go to Day for Night proper, went to the after party because my favorite musician ever, Bogdan Raczynski, and I'm saying it wrong, Bogdan Raczynski, I guess as most people say, played. And I've got a crazy story, super awesome. Went with my buddy Ben, you may have remembered him from the podcast, he's producer Snafu. We both went to Texas, met up in Houston, and stayed there for 3 days or something like that while we went to the Day for Night after party. The first night there was like a pre-party thing, and we weren't able to make it because we both got in really late, and the show was pretty much done by the time we were getting in, so we just decided to hang out and call it a night. The next day at the hotel, Ben's got a friend who actually was playing at the Day for Night after party at Defunct, is what it was called. His name is Ed, and he goes by Skymall. I had never really heard of Skymall other than, you know, Ben was talking about him and I hadn't really heard his stuff yet. Later in the day, Ben gets a text from his friend Ed, Skymall, saying, hey, I gotta go pick up Bogdan at the airport. And I'm like, what? That's crazy. Unfortunately, there's not enough room in the car because he's picking someone else up also. So there's really not enough room for me and Ben. So I'm like, well, you know, this is your friend. Go to the airport with your friend to see Bogdan. And I'm just like, oh, this sucks, because I really wanted to go. I mean, what would you do if you had the chance to meet like your favorite musician ever? And I'm just like, oh, I probably wouldn't say anything good anyway, so I'll just like, oh yeah, man, you go, and I'll just hang out at the hotel. So I'm sitting at the hotel like watching Dumb and Dumber and just like, oh, this is the worst. He's sending me pictures. Here's me and Bogdan. I'm like, oh no. I mean, congratulations. I'm really happy for you. And I'm just sitting there like, this is the worst. I missed this opportunity. So just feeling sorry for myself at the hotel pretty much. I'm happy for Ben, of course, but I'm also feeling kind of like, oh, I missed out on something. So long story short, Ben and Ed come back to the hotel to pick me up, and it's just them and their friend. And Bogdan has already been dropped off at his hotel. So we go to a restaurant where we're just gonna eat some pizza, have some beers. We're just sitting there knocking back some beers and eating some pizza, and then all of a sudden Ed gets a text and he's like, oh, I gotta go pick up Bogdan and he wants to get some pizza. So he's gonna join us for pizza. And I'm like, holy cow, like, I don't know. I'm a bit of a spaz anyway, if you couldn't tell, and I'm just like, I'm gonna totally make an idiot out of myself. Just be cool, you know? Because like I said, this is my favorite musician ever. Like going back, like Aphex Twin pretty much started it off for me, and then by the time I became familiar with Bogdan stuff, like late 90s, early 2000s, he's been like my ideal sound. If you're not familiar with this stuff, it's like really fast experimental electronic stuff, like IDM stuff, but it's more like video gamey, which was something that you didn't hear a whole lot at that time anyway. So I was totally, you know, drawn to it immediately because I'm like, oh, these video game sounds and everything. Really dug it. High energy, a lot of fun. I saw him one time before back in LA, 2003. That was really fun. But like the chance to get to see him again, let alone have dinner with him, blew my mind. I couldn't believe it. I'm just kind of waiting at the pizza place because Ed went to go pick up Bogdan, and I'm just like, oh man, don't be weird, don't be weird. So Bogdan comes up and he's just like, oh, hey, you're Eric, right? And I'm like, yep. So obviously Ben had talked to him about me before because like there's no way he would know who I am. And he's just like, hey, how's it going? You know, where are you from? What's Colorado like? And just really kind of just asking me just general questions and that kind of thing. Like I have a million things I want to say to him, but I don't want to make him uncomfortable because he's just there to eat dinner. I want to be like, oh man, I just love this album and I really, you know, like look forward to anything that you put out, and I'm glad that you put out those mixes on Bandcamp and stuff. I don't want to say any of that stuff because he's just trying to eat dinner. So we have just like nice dinner conversation kind of stuff. I can't remember what all was said. Hopefully I wasn't a dunce. I'm being crazy right now because I couldn't be crazy then. But at the time I was like freaking out inside. I'm just like, oh yeah, that's really cool. Eating a pizza. Oh my God, it's Bogdan sitting straight across from me. Freaking crazy. So after a while, you know, we're finishing our beers and stuff, and Bogdan's like, hey, what are you drinking? And I was like, oh, this stout something or other. And he buys me a beer. He buys me a beer. And I'm like, no, wait, what are you drinking? He's like, no, I got it. So he bought me and Ben a beer. Freaking ridiculous. Like my favorite musician of all time buying me a beer. Like I want to buy him a beer, but that blew my mind. I still can't really process it. It was amazing. Bogdan is exactly what I thought he would be. Like really cool. I mean, this is said a lot, but cool, down to earth guy, like super warm, like just really focusing on us rather than, you know, I mean, he's this legend in the scene, but then he is just talking to us like, oh yeah, cool, what's Colorado like? Oh yeah, that's really cool. And I'm just like, I couldn't believe it. It was just so like humble and cool. Just totally chill guy. I mean, if he wanted to, he could be all snobby and stuff like that just because he's earned that like Kanye West status in my mind anyway. You know, he could totally be like that, and I'd be like, yep, nope, you've earned it. You can totally be like that if you want, but no, just totally chill, awesome guy. So after dinner, we all pile into the car and we're on our way to the venue. Venue is like, it's a warehouse. Like this feels like a rave, you know? We get there and it's like surrounded by houses, to which Bogdan says, you know, I wonder what the residents think about that. And we're all kind of like, haha, yeah. Well, that, you'll see later what happens with that. So we get there and it's a freaking awesome place. Like the feel of the place, I mean, it's a warehouse, but it looked really cool. It was like a really fancy rave, you know? So, you know, there were multiple musicians that I didn't get a chance to record. Sorry, because your stuff was awesome as well, but I really only recorded a few, one of them being Cygnus. I don't know if you remember, but October 2015, I went and saw Autechre in Denver, and Cygnus opened for them, and it was freaking awesome because he plays like really cool acid stuff. Seemed like a really cool guy, like just kind of goofing and stuff. Like I saw him at the second night, and he comes in, he's like, hey, have you guys ever heard of Aphex Twin? Which is like everybody there has heard of him. Like people are wearing Aphex Twin shirts and stuff. He's just goofing and stuff. So he was really cool, kind of dancing, getting all like robotic with it and stuff. Of course, the whole reason we went there was to see Bogdan play live. I mean, everything else on top of that is like double, quadruple cherry on top. Getting to eat dinner with him is crazy. He bought me a beer. Getting a chance to see him again after 14 years, because I think the last time he actually played in the States was when I saw him in LA, and then he went immediately after that to San Francisco, which I did not go to, but I think that was the last time he was in the States. So he's up in Canada, just came down here just for this show. So I could not wait to see this show. Bogdan did not disappoint at all. Everything he played was like everything you wanted to hear from his catalog, and I think he actually dropped a couple new tracks that I hadn't heard before. But yeah, I mean, everything you wanted and more. I was going crazy. I mean, he's playing that 200 plus beats per minute stuff. And I was like going crazy, and I tried to record what I could because the rest of the time I was going bonkers. So here's a little bit of that. Bogdan's set, like the first time I saw him in LA, I didn't even know he was playing. All of a sudden I hear his music and I'm like, oh, I was at the back of the whole venue, and apparently he was up and behind the decks, just like huddled over behind his laptop apparently, and I never saw him, like, except for the very beginning of the show. He kind of came out and was listening to someone's set, and then he just kind of took off, and that was the only time I saw him. So he was just kind of hiding behind the thing, playing his, you know. So this time he was like up center stage and he's playing and he's making funny faces and just like, you know, kind of freaking out and stuff, and kind of like acting like he's taking off like a rocket ship and stuff. Really funny. Set was awesome. Awesome time. Everything I wanted and more. I don't know what else to say. At the end of his set, Ben and I just kind of went over to the side of the stage. Ben and Ed had pictures with Bogdan at the airport, which I didn't have a chance to do, and I'm not gonna be weird at dinner and be like, hey, can I get a picture with you? I know you're trying to eat pizza, but so at the very end of his set, it's like he's walking by, it's like, okay, this might be a good opportunity. So I get a picture with Ben and Bogdan, and it was freaking awesome. Perfect picture. Of course, Bogdan making a face. Really cool. Took a couple quick pictures and then got a chance to chat with him a little bit, tell him, you know, thank you for coming down. Awesome set, of course. And that really made my night. That was just, I mean, it could not get better than that after that point. And then CFAX Acid Crew went on. CFAX Acid Crew is Square Pusher's brother, actually. Makes a lot of, like, you know, 303, like acid, acid. His whole style is very cool, and he was like a really cool, he seemed like a really cool guy. I didn't get a chance to like talk to him or anything like that, but just all smiles and goofing and everything. Just like, it was awesome that he came over from England just to play this show, and the show was awesome. And it was like 4 o'clock, I want to say. This whole thing was supposed to go from 11 p.m. to 9 a.m., but at about 4:30, the cops came. And kind of like Bogdan had predicted in a roundabout way, saying, you know, I wonder what the residents think about this. Well, they kind of told us what they thought about it because the show got shut down. So it was great that CFAX Acid Crew got to go, but a couple of the other musicians didn't get to go. I felt bad for him, but it's like, there's another night. We'll get to see him next time. So the second night we had to change venues, obviously, get away from the residential area. And this was like a warehouse in a warehouse district. So this seems perfect for the show. There's not going to be anybody disturbed by the music in this place because it was loud the first night and it was even louder the second night. So we're in a place that's like, I mean, it's a warehouse, but it's kind of like a house. You go in, there's a garage, and this is where the whole thing is set up. It's like, you can see a garage door at the back. I'll show you some videos here in a second. And then when you go in the other room, it's like a living room area. You go up the stairs, there's a bathroom, and then there's a bedroom. And then up there's like another bedroom. It was like a house in a warehouse. Very bizarre, but it was really small. Really awesome venue though, because it wasn't a huge gathering, but there was, you know, maybe 100 something people, and we all just like love the same kind of music. So it was really cool, like intimate thing where we got to see some of our favorite musicians. So like I said, Ed Skymall was really cool guy, gave us a ride everywhere, super hospitable, bought me some pizza, like super cool guy, bought me some beer. He ended up playing an incredible set. I had never heard of him before. I mean, other than Ben just saying, oh yeah, my buddy Skymall, and I hadn't been able to check out his stuff, but he kind of familiarized me with his stuff a little bit right before the show, and it was very intense. Like, I gotta say, in the genre of music that I listen to, there's usually not a lot of people that are like really brilliant showmen. You know, Bogdan was really cool because he's making faces and doing the rocket thing and that kind of thing. But a lot of people just kind of sit behind the laptop and they don't do so much. When it came to Ed Skymall, it was like over the top crazy, and I did not do it justice with this video because I was watching and I didn't record the craziest part where he was completely flipping out, but here's some of it.
Now is the only thing that's real.
I was really impressed, totally taken aback by his style because I had not seen a musician like in this scene, if you want to say, that was this big of a showman. You know, he was just going crazy, like totally amped up the crowd. Very cool. Thank you very much for your hospitality while we were there, and you played an awesome set. Really appreciate it. Next person Ben was talking about, and I had never heard this name even, Subjects. Subjects played like a wide variety of stuff. Some of it was kind of like Aphex-ish, Aphex Twin-ish, I'd say. Just kind of like some acidy stuff and very cool danceable IDM music. I don't have a whole lot to say, but peep out this video. One of the other big names we got to see was Richard Devine. Richard Devine is like an incredible sound designer. I followed him on Vine when Vine existed, but he'll post little videos of him just messing with his stuff. Like, he's got all this gear and he's like twiddling knobs and he's hooking up all these different things. I don't even know, I'm not a technical guy, but like I look at his setup and I'm like, there's lights and knobs and chords everywhere. I don't know what he's doing, but the sounds are crazy. The music he plays is somewhere between noise and like IDM stuff, but sometimes his crazy noises will like get their way into like a groove where it's like a beat, and other times it's just like all out assault of noise, and very cool throughout. Incredible noises, incredible sounds, and some really good beats too. Like I said, there were some other musicians I couldn't highlight, but the night was once again rounded out with CFAX Acid Crew. CFAX Acid Crew was nice enough to play a second time. The first night he stopped, I think he ended up stopping before his set was completely finished because of course the police came and we had to stop. So this night he's playing, and guess what happens? Exact same thing. Cops show up and we had to shut the whole thing down. I feel like he probably got through his set, but unfortunately other people that were supposed to go on, I'm gonna say like 4 or 5 people maybe, weren't able to go on just because what else can you do? I mean, the cops came and shut it down. So I don't know why it got shut down, especially in like a warehouse district, but apparently there were people living like in the adjacent warehouse or something like that. So unfortunately, noise complaint, what else can you do? It was extremely loud. I mean, I remember Ed Skymall actually saying early on, he's like, if you can hear the person next to you talking, it's not loud enough, and I'm gonna turn it up even louder because it was crazy loud, like in this little tiny garage where there's just huge speakers and playing that stuff. It was insane. Had a great time, really awesome show. I mean, it could not have gone better. Like, it was kind of one of those things like, oh, maybe I should go to this. It's like Bogdan's playing, I gotta go to this thing. So I was super glad, don't regret a thing. totally worth it. It's too bad the shows got shut down early, but other than that, it was like perfect. Got to hang out with Ben, my buddy Ben, and that was awesome. Yeah, great hanging out with you, man. Wish we could do it more often, wish we weren't so far apart, but you know, you being in California, me being in Colorado, it doesn't happen all the time. But anyway, great time. Something about it. What else can I say? It was amazing. So like I said, I'm recording this like 3 days before Christmas, and well, you know, the Christmas hat and everything. The reason I'm doing that is because I'm about to go to Vegas with my girlfriend. So we're actually gonna spend New Year's Eve in Vegas, something that we've never done before. You know, pretty much every year, like, you know, most recent years, we haven't really gone out and partied and that kind of stuff. It's kind of nice to actually not have to worry about taking a cab or whatever, taking a Lyft or something like that. Dealing with the crowds and the craziness and that kind of thing. It's kind of nice to just kind of watch the New Year's thing, just kind of have some drinks here and just relax. And we watched the ball drop in New York and we thought that'd be kind of cool, but I heard it's kind of miserable. Like you'll be standing in a spot all night long because if you go to the bathroom, you'll lose your spot. It's like, oh, let's try something different. I guess they do like fireworks or something like that in Vegas, and my girlfriend really wants to see the last Britney Spears show that she's doing in Vegas. So that's kind of the primary reason for it. It's like Christmas present to her. We're gonna go see Britney Spears. So yeah, I mean, I'm not a Britney Spears fan, of course, because of the kind of music I listen to, but she is, and that's okay with me. So we're gonna go see Britney Spears, and total contrast to what I saw earlier in the month, but that's totally okay. We're gonna go have a great time in any case. I'm not a big fan of pop music. She's not a big fan of my music. When our powers combine, opposites attract. I don't know. So when you're watching this, I'm in Vegas with my girlfriend, kind of planning ahead. I have no new pickups. I didn't buy any new games. I also haven't really been playing any games. I did go to Andrew's house and we recorded the podcast, and so I got to play some Mario Odyssey with his kids. His kids are watching everything on YouTube, so they already knew everything to do before they had ever played the game, which was crazy. Got to play that with them, and that's really about all I've played this month other than recording video game footage for Goemon. So like I said, I'm going to be working on the Mystical Ninja starring Goemon video through January. I'm hoping by the end of January it comes out. Really no reason it shouldn't be out by then. Sorry for the delay. I'd rather take the extra time and get it done right than just to get it out just as a matter of, oh, well, it's been 10 years on YouTube and it's been 20 years since it was released in Japan. You know, it's almost 20 years since it's been released in the US, so kind of in between the two, I'm okay with that. I'm not gonna really go for a theme so much on this one, and it's gonna really be focused on the game and why it's an important game to me, and I guess how much it means to me. So this has been a good year for me, not so much for my channel. Back in March, you know, the Retroware guys came over, you know, Lance came over, Norm came over, Dan came over, and I got to do my game room update, final game room. So the game room is done. That's an achievement. Got the video done. That was really cool. Earlier before that, I got the Tulip video done. That was awesome, you know, received well. I really appreciate that. Other than that, really didn't do anything this year. I don't know. I was busy studying Japanese. I went to Japan, which was awesome. Got to climb Mount Fuji. Came back sick for 2 months, not gonna lie. Not only was I sick, I just kind of got demotivated as a result, you know, like you wanna see me at my worst. If I'm sick, don't wanna do anything. So that really kind of caused some problems as well. And then I had to study Japanese for like the next 3 months until I took the JLPT, which I really hope I didn't fail. I hope it was worthwhile. I learned some new stuff in case, you know, even if I don't pass it, at least I learned some new things. But we'll see how that goes. And I wasn't able to get the Goemon video out. So like I said, not a great year for my channel, but I'm really hoping next year will be better. You know, I remember making a joke about the Zapper videos like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, where I'm like, when I finally get these done in 2018, well, it's almost 2018 and I haven't gotten them done. So I really need to focus on getting them done next year as well. But you know, there's so many things I want to do, so little time. Stay tuned for next year. Hopefully things get a lot better as far as being more productive on the channel. Kind of got 2 episodes out this month of the podcast anyway. 1 episode and a third, not even a 16th or something like that. You'll see what I'm talking about. But next year my goal is to really focus on the channel, try to get something out once a month, which I always do, and you always know how that goes. So I really appreciate you guys sticking with me, because I know that I'm definitely not the most prolific channel, very slow as far as getting things out, but it's just stuff gets in the way, I get busy, and I do the best I can. And that's not good enough, but it is my best. So thanks for sticking with me anyway. So as always, thank you for your time, patience, and support. I really appreciate it. Hopefully next year's better. Stay tuned, because I'm really hoping that I can pull off the video a month kind of thing or something like that to the best of my ability. Have a great year, and I'll see you next year. Pew!